One, I want to also, I think that this is, I'm sitting here listening to everyone, and besides the connections is just the inspiration of the resistance. And that we need to do as much as we can to spread that inspiration here in the communities of where people are being oppressed, among workers, so they know that other people are fighting back, that there are victories, and also learning from the history of resistance. Because when we were asked to talk about Fannie Lou Hamer, I don't know how many people really, probably most of you have heard of her and have read some things about her. But Fannie Lou Hamer is sort of like the women that we're talking about today, who are alive, who are here, as well as the ones that are not here, but part of struggles around the world. She was somebody that never finished elementary school. She was somebody who went and had to become a sharecropper at the age of 6. She is someone who grew up in some very poor counties in Mississippi, and Mississippi is still the poorest state in the country. And she was someone who had within her generated the courage, and she was very clear what she was going up. She wasn't in a fantasy world. She knew who the Klan was, and she knew that many of them were very prominent, particularly men, in that county and in the state. And she knew that people got lynched. She knew that people lost their jobs. She knew that people could lose their homes. She knew that people could get beaten in the streets, on the plantation, or in a prison. She knew all of that. And yet and still, she took up the mantle of fighting for one of people's rights, which is the right to democratically vote and choose who your representatives are. Now, some of us who consider ourselves revolutionaries think that that ain't very serious. But it is very serious. It's not the only method of struggle. It's not going to change the foundation of capitalism. But if anyone who exercises any right to organize a union at your workplace, to organize a tenant organization in your building, or to organize people to go and register when they could be killed on the road to go and do that, that is courage in the midst and under the power of the imperialists and the capitalists. They are wretched, dangerous people who will use any method they can to control people who are fighting for their land, control people that are fighting for a decent place to live, control people who want to fight for health care. Why is it in this country, the wealthiest country in the world, we don't have national health care? The other day on my job, somebody came to talk to us about health care, and you could get dizzy, all the things and maneuvering and navigation you have to go to get health care benefits in your home. And when I said everything goes back, the cookie crumbs go back to the insurance companies, which is part of a capitalist profiteering off of health care and the needs. And the guy said, but we have the best health care in the world. I said, but you just got through describing to us that people are not getting health care. And you know who the people who suffer the most? Poor, working class people who happen to be in unions, who happen to have maybe some health care benefits, who don't bring home $800 a month. They can't get Medicaid, and therefore they cannot get health care benefits unless they get rid of their little meager benefits that they have. So this system, the entire system, whether it's here in this country, or whether it's in the Philippines, or whether it's in the indigenous areas here, or whether it's in Canada or Latin America or the Caribbean, it's all controlled by the people that you talked about. It's all controlled by IMF and World Bank, which are just institutions of the people, the real people who are benefiting to the max on our backs. So Fannie Lou Hamer, somebody in the early 60s, decided that she was not taking it anymore. And everybody likes to use the quote, oh, I'm tired, I'm not taking it anymore. This woman wasn't hardly tired, because she wouldn't have been able to do all the things that she did. She told the people in the county, I will come back every month until I'm able to register. And that was not some small thing, because if you ever go to Mississippi and you go through those counties now, the Sunflower, all the other counties, for me, and this ain't mystical, I can still feel that the people who died to go to march to go and be able to vote, the people that went over those bridges, the people that got beat over the head, she got beat till her eye was almost taken out in the prison, and they made a black man beat her until she couldn't move anymore. But that did not stop her. And there are Fannie Lou Hamers everywhere in this country, everywhere in the sister city, and everywhere around the world. When we went to that program, that conference that was in Quebec, that's who was there. Women who had been in prison, women who kept on rising up and fighting back. We need to let people know, because they're like stunted right now, because they don't know that there are people who are fighting right now around them in their midst, and they don't know about the history of struggle. We have to take that out to people. We have to make it real, and we have to really engage people in the concept that you can fight back. And we have to build that kind of crescendo of fighting back if we really want to take this whole thing down. We ain't going to take it down just by reading books and having study groups. We ain't going to just take it down by having rallies. We ain't going to just take it down by having placards that has big, important language on it. We're going to take it down when the people are motivated to be the Fannie Lou Hamers, and to be like all the other men and women around this world, and children who are standing up and fighting. The Caribbean countries now are saying, I want reparations. They ain't gonna get no reparations unless their people are organized. The unions are preparing for a contract, but if you demobilize your rank and file, you ain't getting shit. You gonna get what you've been getting for the last 5 years, zeros. Okay? The tenants, you don't like the rent hikes, you don't like that your property isn't kept up to so you have a living situation that's healthy, you are not going to change that if you are not organized and willing to go up against anybody that stands in your way. You go through them, over them, and eventually you dump them down to the ground, and you build a society that we need. So the Fannie Lou Hamers are not just people that you talk about because, oh, look, she was a nice little lady. She continued to fight until she died. She was also sterilized unbeknownst to her when she went in the hospital. And I'm sorry, and my time is up. So I hope that we can also talk about how we can create more Fannie Lou Hamers. Thank you. The flyer, thank you so much, sweetie. Tomorrow at Boys and Girls High, and this is another example of inspiring people. Last year we did an event there and we honored Harriet Tubman, who was a warrior. She was a general, and she took people out of enslavement. Tomorrow we're going to be honoring Fannie Lou Hamers and the other people like Fannie Lou Hamer. The students asked us to come back. They had never heard of International Women's Day before, never knew anything about half of these people, but they were inspired. They want to organize a May 17th youth march. So we need to collaborate, support. So we're going to be doing organizing, skill building for people to become revolutionaries. And be able to organize effective rallies, but most importantly, how do you organize among your own people? How do you organize among youth, etc.? So we ask everybody to come out. It's from 11 to 4. There will be food, there will be workshops, there will be films, and there will be cultural activities. And we want you to be there and help embrace the young people. Thank you.